Welcome, everybody. I'm Beth Shero. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Shero Commerce. Welcome today. We have a great topic. We're going to be discussing replatforming for growth with Shopify. And we have some great guests. The real focus of this is really to understand why are customers choosing Shopify? What are the benefits, challenges, and how to overcome them so you can have a successful migration. And we have a couple of different platforms that some of our clients are going to be discussing today, but the majority of them are on Magento. So it's really going to be a great topic to understand how technology is limiting business today and how it should really empower us to do more. And that's the great thing about Shopify. So without further ado, let's get started and bring our guest in. We will be having Miko from the Nordics. He's our head of product at Shero, and Angela, she'll be joining us from Salem Church Products, and Jim Herbert from Patchworks. So we have some great guests to get us started today. And what will the topics be that we're going to be discussing? Just quickly, 1 through 5. Why replatforming? We'll have a case study from the Nordics, F. Muziki. We also have a second case study, Salem Church Products. And then we'll leave you with some best practices, some successful replatforming tips, and Q&A. So I hope you get a lot out of this today because we have some real good insights and it's going to be an honest, open conversation. And then if you don't know anything about Shero, welcome to the party. We are an e-commerce agency and we are serving the US and EMEA right now. And we are scattered throughout the United States, but I'm headquarters in upstate New York. And we have offices in Springfield, London, Finland, Helsinki, and Albania, Tirana. And we're really about helping empower our customers to grow online. So if you're looking to grow your business and understand how the technology can help you get there, we're the right team for you. So let's dive into why replatforming. Why did we choose this topic? So for many, many years, I've been talking to customers that have legacy platforms or their innovation has stalled. They have high maintenance costs. Maybe the mobile experience isn't great. They have trouble with integration, scaling. I mean, a number one thing too is security and compliance. It's getting harder and harder to keep up with these things in a timely fashion and a cost-effective way. And on top of that, customers are expecting more than ever. So we really need to make sure that the tech we have can empower us. And I think what we're seeing is as your business grows, you add different technologies in at different points, and it can be challenging as that evolves and technology evolves to keep up with the latest and greatest. So I really want you to come here with an open mind and think about what technology is limiting your team and how you can make those changes. Maybe they're small steps or big steps all at once. But I think there's definitely a path forward for everybody that feels somewhat stuck and wanting to change their tech stack. So we have some slides we're going to bring up to kind of show you the things that I'm highlighting here, and you're probably very well aware of them. But I think it's really good to see how the tech is holding back your growth and the business impact that it's having. I think we sometimes forget to connect these two, or because we're siloed or different departments are dealing with different things, it can be hard to see these comparisons. And from a business standpoint, because that's the most important part, the tech is a tool, right? Business, at the end of the day, we need to make money, we need to grow, we need to move quickly, especially in e-commerce. It evolves so quickly. So how do we make sure that our team has the right tech that can help them do the job that they need? How do we make sure that tech allows us to grow our online business? And it's all about scalability, expectations. I mean, there's so much in here that I could dig into, but I'm going to keep it high level here today. And you'll see some of the choices that the brands here today made and how it has helped improve the quality of life for their team members and help them grow their business and save costs. So Shopify, I was just at the Shopify editions in Toronto, which I'll show on the next slide, more details about that. But I think there's a lot of great things going on at Shopify that really empower the business to do more. So they're focused on growth, scalability. They really want to give you the tools you need to just run with it and get it done. They don't want to limit you. They really have the entrepreneurial mindset and want you to grow. So they're thinking about, they don't want you to worry about keeping the lights on, paying for maintenance. They really want to create a platform that you just go sell stuff and empower your marketing team to get that done. And on top of that, they're continuously innovating and adding AI solutions, marketing integrations, automations, so much more. And I think some of the highlights that our team took away from the Shopify event in Toronto was they are just driving forward as quickly as possible. And like some people might say, well, some of these aren't fully fleshed out. But I think in the era that we're in with AI, we really need to drive forward as quickly as possible. There's a lot of learning for everybody, us included. Like we're learning as the tech evolves and it's moving so quickly. So we really need technology that's at the cutting edge, moving forward as quickly as possible. And I think Shopify is one of the top e-commerce platforms that is doing that. And I created a quick list here of some of the highlights of some of the AI and innovation that they're offering. So if you haven't heard of Sidekick, please go check it out. It's going to help your team internally. It's kind of like a AI assistant chatbot, I would call it, but it does a lot of other things on top of that. They're allowing you to make generated content, visuals. They even just released AI agents, AI theming with the Horizons launch, which is a beautiful theme if you haven't seen it. A lot of smart stuff where you can actually use Sidekick to ask it to make different components and content areas that then you can copy and paste. So it makes it really empowering for your team to quickly create landing pages, add additional content, whatnot. And then Shopify Flows was extended even further with API integrations. Markets were expanded globally and empowered in a different way so that you could actually take payments in different countries. And then the storefront MCP, which we don't have time to talk about here, but this is a pretty big game changer. And more things will be said about this. If you don't know about it, be on the lookout. So lots of great things happening at Shopify. If you haven't checked out the release, go to the editions at Shopify. You can take a look at the past ones and the present one. They release them twice a year. So great stuff there. And then, actually, while I was in Toronto at the Shopify event, I ran into Jim from Patchworks. And I just thought, we've been doing projects together, but I thought it'd be a great opportunity to bring Jim in here to talk about how Patchworks is empowering their customers to scale quicker, integrate with different platforms, ERPs quicker, and really minimizing what the customer or the brand needs to do. So it's really a solution that's a low code or no code solution that you can easily manage. But I don't want to spoil it for you all. So let's bring Jim in and have him talk about Patchworks. Hey, Jim, welcome. Thank you for joining us all the way from the UK.
Hey, Beth. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on. This is the most professionally run webinar webcast that I've been on since I was on CNN Squawk So
I love that. Thank you. We're always trying to up our game.
I hope this was better, frankly, but there we go.
Awesome. So, Jim, you've been in the e-commerce industry for so long, so much knowledge. You were technical at one point, so I just feel like you bring such a great history and knowledge, but now you're at Patchworks. So tell us about Patchworks and what brands should know about it and why they should use it.
Thanks, Beth. So Patchworks, we're what's known as an integration platform as a service. As you know, in the industry, we all love an acronym, right? So IPAS is what we talked about. So what does that mean? Well, the kind of layman's terms, we're technical plumbing, I think is the way to think about it, right? So, and what do you want from your plumbing, right? If you're plumbing your house, you want it to be as easy, as quick, and as cheap as possible to get installed. And then you want to forget about it, right? You just want it to work. And so that's kind of, that's our vision ultimately, to make complex integrations as simple as possible. So You mentioned I was a programmer, and I was. I've been programming computers since I was 8 years old, terrifyingly. So I'm often watching geeky YouTube videos of retro computing, not surprisingly. And with that background, I've done tons and tons of integrations, and for the last 25 years, that's been almost entirely in the e-commerce space, right? And it's always been difficult. The land of Shopify and some of the other SaaS competitors out there, they all promise ease. And do you know what? Actually, in the Shopify App Store, you might find an integration solution that works for you. If you're a $1 to $10 million merchant, absolutely install that app, get going. I can guarantee as you become more of a complex retailer, you do B2B, you have multiple maybe physical stores, it all starts to creak a little bit because they're all kind of point solutions. So what you really then need is that strategic integration layer. And that's what Patchworks is. We utilize what we call no-code, low-code technology. It's basically drag and drop flows. Ultimately, you drop your Shopify connector on here, you drop your NetSuite connector on there, and then agency partners like Shero connect those up using the process flows that we have made available ultimately. And then, like I said, once it's there and running, it auto scales on Black Friday. It does everything you need. We cover off the ISO 27001 and SOC 2 security. We're kind of that safe pair of hands ultimately. So that's our vision. Our vision is to make complex integration simple.
Awesome. I love it so much. I think it really, to your point, as you scale, it gets harder and harder, right? And there are breaking points. So to have a solution like Patchworks becomes so valuable. So if something does break down, it's very traceable and very clear and very approachable, right? Like it's just a no-brainer as you scale and need a lot of integrations. It gets harder. And what's your thoughts on, customers moving to Shopify? Do you have a lot of them that use Patchworks on Shopify? Do you see any issues there, or is it pretty seamless?
Yeah, it's I'd say about 75% of my customers are on Shopify, maybe 80% actually. We're pretty well known in that space, and I think we're at the minute the only iPaaS you can find in the Shopify App Store. But I'm pretty sure that'll change. Our competitors need
very impressive.
It was cool getting the team to write a Shopify app as well, not surprisingly. So if you're an existing customer listening to this, use the app, please. That's what we need to do. Why are they migrating? A lot of the things you described, right? So again, I've been doing e-commerce for 25 years. Technology moves on all the time. People are finding themselves on legacy tech stacks, and that normally means, security patches. They need to be installed. An upgrade comes along. When I was working in the Hybris world, my agency that I had back in the day was an ATG, but also a Hybris agency. If you remember that German piece of software, it became SAP ultimately.
Yes.
You could almost guarantee, you could forecast in, if we had 17 live running customers that we were supporting, we were going to have to, a new version of Hybris would come out. Okay, that's going to have a cost, and it was quite a big cost, right? Why is that? Because we had to install the update, we had to test the update, we had to make the new features available, because classically, the merchant would hear the salesman going, it's got these new features. Yeah, but they're not available until we install them and make them work for you, right?
Yes. Yes.
That merchant's spending money that they really don't want to spend. So Shopify, being a piece of SaaS software, when that innovation appears, like Sidekick, like Magic, like AI, like the Horizon thing, they're available immediately to the merchant, right? They're there. We're actually a Shopify customer at Patchworks. We run our own website on it. So I know it's a strange one because we are thousands of pages of content and not a transactional site. But look, it works for us, and we get to see the improvements in the admin dashboard, the interface for updating that content, as well as getting to use the API as well. So it's kind of a bit of a no-brainer. It's a bit of a why not Shopify, to be honest with you. I think that's where we are right now in the ecosystem. And people who are spending that money on the security patches and all the other bits and pieces that they're having to do, a lot of them are getting to the end of their tether, and they're watching their competitors moving on with the ability to use AI to build a widget and going, right, I need that, and I need to stop spending that. So funny enough, we're seeing a lot of people coming to us because they're migrating to Shopify.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it, Jim. There's so much to say here. I think some people too get a little FOMO, right? They're like, I feel like I should have these tools, but I don't. And they get frustrated that, to your point about like the Hybris example, just having to pay so much money just to keep it secure and like operating, like just turning on your electricity. It's just too much for a lot of companies, you know, and we're in this day and age, I feel, you know, it's great to have the SaaS model like Shopify.
Yeah.
And if you want to reach out to Patchworks, what should people do? I know we're going to talk more at the end, but just in case we hook someone in here quick and they leave too early.
Best thing to do is come and look at our website straight away. So we are patchworks.com. Patchworks.com sadly is owned by a Long Island-based Patchworks quilt shop.
Oh no!
I've been trying to get to see, right? I'm in the States a lot, and I actually stayed on Coney Island. I was like a couple of weeks ago on the way to Toronto. He was like, I'll take you out for dinner. We can have a conversation. But yeah, we are patchworks.com is the website. When you go on there, you'll find all the features overviews, because it's a standard kind of product website, like I mentioned, running on Shopify. But there's also a link off to all our documentation. You can register for a free account because we're true SaaS, right? We're also a software as a service platform. And there's also a link to our YouTube channel where you'll find, a 3-minute overview video, which is probably worth a good watch. So the other option is reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. Jim Herbert e-commerce, I think, is my handle on LinkedIn. Blimey. CB Radio time, is it, Jim? Just get in touch and we'll see if we can improve the connectivity of your stack.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jim. And we're going to bring you into the conversation a little bit because we're going to switch gears and talk about our first case study, F Musiikki, which is out of Finland in the Nordics. And we use Patchworks for this project. So stay tuned. Don't run away. And, we got more to talk about here. So let's switch gears to talk about our first case study, F Musiikki. So we have Mikko that's going to be joining us to talk about this, but I just wanted to talk high level before we bring Mikko in about F Musiikki. So again, this is a client in the Nordics that wants to sell in other regions, and they are a pretty old brand, actually over 125 years old, which is amazing that they are still in business, and they are known to be one of the most famous music stores in Finland. And just recently, they have a new change of ownership. And with that change, they want to create some digital transformation, improve the experience for customers. And they also wanted to start selling online B2B. So I think, they were seeing a lot of blockers on Magento and really were kind of probably at their wits' end is the way I might put it based on what Mikko explained to me. They were really struggling with keeping up with it, and they wanted a better experience for their customers and for their internal team to manage. And they needed it to be very cost effective. So they chose Shopify. And I'm just kind of highlighting some of the challenges there. Again, this is a Magento platform, so you got to worry about the patches, updates. They had issues with a clunky experience. IT was having to constantly maintain it, and it was becoming really expensive. And especially if they wanted to grow or add the B2B site, it just didn't make sense for them any longer. So thankfully, they chose Shopify and Patchworks to help this be a successful launch. And they're already seeing lower costs in maintenance. They're also seeing a lot of growth, which Mikko can talk about, and just a better experience overall. So great overall results, which will show some numbers. But I'd love to bring Mikko in for him to talk about this client and his experience and the solutions that we created in the Nordics for F Musiikki. Let's welcome Mikko. Welcome, Mikko. How are you doing?
Thank you, Beth. I'm doing fine. Thanks for being here. It's awesome to discuss more about F Musiikki and Patchworks. I really, really love those cases. So let's
and just to remind everyone, Mikko is joining us from Finland. So we have quite an international team on the line here today.
Yeah, greetings from Finland.
And you worked very hard on this, Mikko. So I'd love your insights because it was a very fast launch. But I don't want to steal your thunder, so please share with us.
But you said it. The first kind of question from the customer was that, can we do it in 1 month? Well, we said that's going to be a little bit tight. So we kind of agreed that, okay, let's start on the early January, and we can push it by the end of the February, and we did it. And
we did
to
do
be
it.
honest, yeah. And to be honest, it's been one of the toughest projects I've been involved with. Really fast-paced project. Luckily, the customer is really tech oriented, and we kind of could with Shopify we could divide the workload much more than it was able to be done with Magento. With Magento, you typically have to kind of ask everything from the developers. However, with Shopify Team Editor, we really saw that the customer, the business users, take over the content management, and I mean they really love it, and we love it because together we were able to focus more on the content. One of the really key focus in a project was the content itself. Moreover, the product. And with the AI powered process, we were able to explode. I would like to use the word explode the content product content with for example with really enriched descriptions, who the product is aimed for, what are the key technical kind of facts for the product, and so on. So it was not only just title and description typically are pushed through the AI. We kind of took the whole sales speech to the e-commerce and really succeeded. And the KPIs kind of support our story here, and the customer experience that was excellent. So the AI was one of the backbones, and to be honest, I couldn't agree more what Jim just said about Patchworks. With Patchworks, we were able to push it within 2 months to integrate with the ERP system. And typically in Finland, companies don't use the stream like the major well-known ERP system, so we needed to kind of build it from the scratch. However, Patchworks really gave us the tools to connect to the new ERP system, and on the other side, there was ready to use Shopify endpoints. So that's one of the key takeaways.
Cool. Well, let's just pause for a second because you had some really good stuff there, and I don't. I'm sure you have more to share, and I will keep going. But I just want to take one step back. So I'm just going to summarize what you were saying. So obviously, time to market was huge, which we hit that target. The other thing was there were pain points with creating the product content. So we created Verbalic in the Nordics to really help automate and empower that, giving it different prompts, using AI, and generating new product content, even based on competitors, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that the product page could be more robust and be more SEO friendly. So this is kind of like the workflow of that at a high level. But if we see the results from like a before and after, there's a lot of new rich content here that's really valuable too to understand as a buyer, like, why would I want to use this guitar? I feel like it's probably kind of hard actually understanding maybe some of the differences unless you're like a really into guitars, for example. Like maybe you're not really sure about that guitar that you're looking at, and without going to the store, like how do you get the customer engaged? So there's a lot of rich content that's developed here through Verbalic, that's automatically pushed into Shopify, right?
Yeah.
So it's really automating that process for the F Muziki team, just, to move quicker, right? I don't know anything else you want to add about that, because I think this is super valuable. And when we show the results, it really shows that these changes are making a difference.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of divided into two phases. In the migration phase, we took the data from the Magenta and used the AI to kind of enrich the existing data. And at the moment, when the new products come in, we can enrich them as well. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So more to come there, but just kind of wanted to highlight that because I think it's super valuable. And then just going back to the second point that I think you made that was super valuable was Patchworks. So, I'm aiming at here business efficiencies. You stated that F Muziki had a very unique ERP, like it doesn't really, not many people have it, right? So like Patchworks has some pre-built workflows set up for like standard ERPs, but this one, there wasn't a workflow. So we had to create it, right? Do you want to talk through that process?
Yes, absolutely. So the Shopify side is quite obvious, and we use the GraphQL API to connect with the Shopify. Shopify is in its way to move from the REST API to GraphQL, and no issues there. On the other side, we needed to use XML files actually to communicate with. However, using the external XML server to kind of serve the files was no issue, and we connected Patchworks against that one. And once we had those in places, we were able to pull up multiple flows. Here we can see the product enrichment flow with multiple kind of options, whether you are upgrading a new product, creating a new product, or upgrading existing ones. So it was really fun to build. It's like Jim said, it's a visual drag and drop tool. And one of the kind of the really coolest thing is the scripting capabilities there. Even though you can use ready to use shapes, like Patchwork calls these modules here as shapes. Typically, you end up customizing the integration case by case, and using scripting. We used JavaScript based code here, and Patchwork even gives AI tool for creating the script itself. So it's really giving a robust tools for the developer to build up the integrations.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing what you did in the amount of time, and just, Patchworks really empowered you, and we can see the results here. Like, not only was it a quick time to market, but they're seeing real results, right? So average revenue per user is up over 104%, which is wild. And the general revenue is up over 26%.
Yeah.
So well done to Shero Nordic's team for helping F Muziki modernize and roll this out. And Though so grateful for the Patchworks partnership and the tools they provided us to hit our goals and the client's goals. And we'll welcome Jim back in. How does that feel, Jim, hearing all that?
Pretty amazing. This is, again, one of the best webinars I've ever been on. Thank you, Miko, for selling my product for me.
Yeah, I love selling stuff. It's easy when it's good product, you know?
I mean, that's
exactly.
That's the key thing, right? And you mentioned the AI scripting, actually. And I think, you know, at the top of the show, Beth, you were talking about Shopify's AI movements. There's a really good podcast out at the moment, Cocktails and Commerce, with Bobby Morrison, the CRO of Shopify, talking about how Shopify didn't go early with AI. They went when it made sense. You know, listen to what your customers want, and then, you know, okay, right, that's all. AI will help with that. And famously, of course, Toby has that leaked email about how you know, if you want to Shopify, you're going to use AI. Very similar here at Patchworks. So we have we've introduced an AI support bot. So if you're a customer of ours, you go into the dashboard. We realized that about 20% of our support tickets are people just asking product questions.
Okay.
So the support bot has, you know, it's a large learning model. It's learned all of our documentation because it's publicly available. Funnily enough, it answers just over 20% of all support calls now. Before human. And the scripting part, as Miko's pointed out, you know, we think we're unique in that we allow our partners and customers to script in any language. We have about 10 configured in at the minute. So you can do Node or C# or anything really, Rust, Go even. But it supports anything. So if you really wanted to, you know, if you're a big enough customer or we just ask and raise a ticket, we can configure in any language there. And the next step was that AI scripting piece for us, because again, you know, people are vibe coding, I think is the word.
Yes.
To know what these things are. And there's a lovely video, you'll see it on my LinkedIn actually, where I managed to build using our AI scripting tool in about 30 seconds an EDI, you know, an old-fashioned message to JSON conversion script. The point of that is, you know, 2 months is fantastic, but let's get it to 1 month. So that you guys can concentrate on the conversion rate and the front end of the e-commerce store, right? So no, it's great to hear it all, I think, in summary, and that we're always here to help, and that is this case study is Patchworks in a nutshell. An ERP that's not in the connector marketplace, connected through Shopify in less than 2 months by a certified partner. Doesn't get better than that.
Thank you so much, Jim. We do have a question here for you from our audience.
Okay.
So from your perspective at Patchworks, how has Shopify made integrations and composability easier compared to other platforms?
So the fully open API, number one, right? So and opening up those rate limits over the last few years as well. Has made a real difference, right? So there are other platforms out there, particularly platforms that have to be installed or could be run on premise, that are more complicated, not impossible, but more complicated to connect to. So Shopify having a clear set of APIs that are well documented, that have no non-breaking changes, you know, deprecating REST APIs into GraphQL with plenty of notice. That all makes a huge amount of difference because it means that we, as the iPaaS platform, can get those new endpoints or, you know, the GraphQL approach into our partners and customers from that side of it. You know, it's interesting. We're in the Mac Alliance. Shopify's not in the Mac Alliance.
That's why I thought this was an interesting question for you.
And you know, you can't buy bits of Shopify, although you're getting there, right? You know, you can start buying the checkout components now separately from the rest of Shopify. So they are decomposing the platform in that way. But you know, whether or not they'll be in the Mac Alliance at any point in the future, or if they want to be honest with you, is kind of a moot point. But I think we met in Chicago. You were at the Shopify B2B conference. I was at Mac 4 a few weeks ago. What was really interesting is massive enterprises on stage, like Diageo in the UK, big drinks manufacturer, like Mattel Toys, talking about this huge decomposed Mac content creation mechanism that they had to push content to their end customers. And how were they going to buy that? They were buying it on Shopify. Shopify was always at the top of that stack.
Wow.
So, you know, it goes to show that Shopify works in that enterprise space because of the availability of those APIs. And that's what's really helping us transform our merchants.
I love that. And that's actually a good segue into our next case study. And we'll have Miko and Jim come back in for some more Q&A to talk more about F Muziki. But I think there's Shopify started as SMB, and there's some question marks that people have. Is Shopify enterprise ready? And I think Jim just named it, that there are a lot of enterprise brands on Shopify. And, there's definitely challenges as you grow in complexity and size. And I'm very excited to share one of our great customers, Salem Church Products case study. They have numerous brands, so it's a very unique use case. They're also selling more of a digital product, I would summarize it, and it's a subscription-based business, and in a lot of the cases, they're doing other things as well. So they had some unique challenges to see how they could overcome moving all of the brands to Shopify, and also the brands are on numerous platforms, I guess is the way I would summarize it. So some were on Magento, some were custom built legacy platforms. There was actually one on Shopify. That's kind of how they got excited about maybe considering Shopify, but saw so many limitations. But as Shopify has evolved over even the past year, this is when the door started opening for Salem Church Products to reconsider, is Shopify the platform for their future business, and what does that look like? So can we just bring up the slides quick? I just kind of wanted to share some of the brands that they have, and we'll bring in Angela. She's going to talk to us about these brands. She's the vice president of Salem Church Products, and a lovely person, and very excited to have her here. Hi, Angela. How are you doing?
Hi, Beth. Thanks for having me and for talking about this project. It's been a lot of fun working with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I think it's been over 3 years now since I saw you or met you the first time. And we kind of just struck up a conversation at an event, and stayed in touch. And then you started thinking about what's the future for all of these brands that you're managing. And we even did an analysis, right, of all the platforms that could potentially work and the pros and cons. So it hasn't been an easy process at all. And I don't say that like that you were challenging anyway. I just mean it was so much to think about and overcome the challenges and make sure that you're hitting all your goals and all the needs of the team. And each business kind of operates slightly different in some ways, right? So just like a lot to absorb and think about. And I think, when I was thinking about this conversation we're going to have, I really loved how you were a bit skeptical in a healthy way, but also challenging. Is that real? Let's get to the root of all the things we need to see the bigger picture, and really drive that change forward. We couldn't have been so successful without your leadership there. So just kind of wanted to applaud you and your team for supporting this effort. And, you did pick Shopify, right?
We did.
Alert.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of summarized it, but this is, I think, a good kind of synopsis too. Everything was a bit kind of scattered. You were struggling with maintaining things, keeping up with all the different types of technology, having different teammates that couldn't work between different platforms, and then managing all the products. And some of the products are sold on different brands. So then you were having to go in and manage it on each site. I mean, it's just as your business evolved and you acquired businesses, it just became more and more complex, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. And we were looking, I started this process really in 2021 of trying to figure out what was the best place. And Magento at the time was the only platform that could support multi-site functionality,
Right.
At least from the operational side. And so that's the route we started going down, moving away from all of these homegrown solutions that we had, yeah, like you mentioned, growing through acquisition, we had a lot of different technologies. And so we started down that road with Magento, and then that's actually how you and I met.
Yes.
I was talking about working with Shero to be our partner, or SI for Magento, and that analysis was so key in helping us see. It actually was the introduction to Akeneo as our PIM. That's what changed the game for us. And I would say I was the most skeptical of everybody. Our team was very excited about Shopify because we did, like you mentioned, have one of our sites already using Shopify. We knew the flexibility that came there with all the apps that were accessible to us. And so they really wanted that flexibility, but we just needed the ability to manage our products in a singular place. And that's what Akeneo gave to us. And there was an answer. It was really a question that I didn't know we were going to find the right answer to. And you guys introduced it to us. So that was, our team's incredibly grateful for that. But also the additional custom and complex business requirements we have. You mentioned here, we provide image editing for our customers. We have some platforms that have subscription and a la carte purchasing. And then the account management solutions, being a digital product, we do in a way operate as a Dropbox
Right.
for purchases. And so that is a complete unique use case that I don't know. I would be shocked if there were maybe 10 other users on Shopify that do the same thing the same way. And so the great thing with Shopify was able to come in with this project and provide us with, the out of the box resources, but also had the flexibility for us to build on top of that with the custom options that we needed.
Yeah, and I mean, it's pretty slick, the new image editor that we have for you all. I hope that you get really good feedback from it, because we are prepping to go live.
Yep.
But it wasn't like when we started thinking about it, we were like, yes, we can do this, but it was also like, whoa, this is a big deal, like
Yeah.
we are pushing and really, pushing every aspect to innovate on Shopify and meet your complex business needs without having to compromise, I guess, or say that we're going to build something so crazy that it's hard to maintain. Finding that balance, I guess, is what I'm saying, because we also don't want you to be in the same position you were on Magento, where then you're having to maintain all of these customizations, right?
Right. And that's been a consistent question or point made through our conversations in this project of, we start down a road of building something custom, and then we realize, oh, maybe we've gone too far with this. And there isn't a solution that somebody else, that's their primary focus. So let's use this third-party solution and let them be really, really good at that one thing, and us not have to figure out all the answers of how to develop something custom. And yeah, we're trying to get away from as much custom work as possible and resource what's out there. And so that's been such a helpful conversation to have, and continue to reassess and optimize that strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely an open dialogue, which we'll kind of dig into more. But I just kind of wanted to highlight, this combination of Shopify and Akeneo. It's like a powerhouse superwoman move right here with this combination of tech. But I think it's great to see how your team's eager, and they felt empowered by it, not like, oh man, another tool I got to learn. They were so open to making change, to make improvements. So I really admire them for that. And one of the quotes that Jada actually collected from your team was, day to day just got way easier. I mean, Can't get any better than that.
Yeah, it did. And yeah, I'm a huge proponent of the software we use needs to be enjoyable to use, or our teams aren't going to be interested. They're going to dread that part of their day. And there's excitement around Akenio and Shopify, which is funny, but it is important. It makes people's jobs and enjoyable, and that leads to success for the entire company. So we've been so happy with Akenio.
Yeah, and you guys have such a great company culture. So it's just great to see how you've combined really good choices and technology to empower your team and your business. And just kind of wanted to highlight too these complex business requirements a little bit more, so people can understand that it's not just a standard subscription that we're looking at here, right? These are pretty complex, and you also had a lot of complex reporting needs and tracking because of the way your users use the site. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. We are both a content creator and a distributor, and as a distributor, we do have royalties to pay for the goods sold. So we were able to work very easily with Shopify to get that data, build that reporting structure, and be able to have something that's scalable, which is huge for us.
Yeah.
We are a small team also. So being able to have these advanced features with the membership plans without that needing to have any person need to manage something, that was very important. And the membership plans that were built there, you can see for Shift Worship, were just it's very clear to the user what is there and what they need to do in order to purchase a membership. And so it's made our lives so much easier, like you said.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And so far we launched
Worship House Kids.
And then we're working on launching the second one.
Yes, it's any day now. We have a target date, but I'm not going to share it in case we miss that. But we are so close, just squashing the final bugs there. But we've gotten such amazing feedback. You can see Worship House Kids here on the screen, and it's a very fun brand that we get to operate, and the design there that your team created was we're so happy with it and gotten nothing but good feedback. But the great thing that we're seeing is the growth in organic, and just the increase in the click-through rate and our presence organically has been massive for us.
Yeah, I mean, the SEO improvement is pretty impressive. And then just overall to see the success of this project with the results so far, and there's way more to see, right?
Yeah. One of the favorite things that we've been able to experience is the ability to A/B test.
Yep.
We had an idea of something we wanted to A/B test on the site. We had an app implemented the next day and a test running. And that first test, we saw 44% increase in revenue just from that one change on our website. And that was just absolutely massive that we were able to learn that so quickly. We've never been able to do that before. So our team is very excited about that, but we're seeing a lot more engagement on search with our search partner that we're using on Worship House Kids, and then a lot more engagement overall for our users.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's, again, why Shopify is so great, because you can do A/B testing so easily on other platforms. It's kind of a nightmare, to be honest.
Yeah. And anybody could check in on the results at any time of the day. And so that's part of our culture. We want to constantly be testing, and we're just super happy we can do that now on our website.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to kind of bring this full circle, in our analysis of the platforms, we did give you a cost reduction depending on the platform, right? And we were pretty accurate. Actually, we thought it was going to be around 50%, but you told me you've reduced costs by 54%, which is really impressive, and like very excited for you guys to be able to use that money to invest it in marketing and other things that you want to do. So like, that's what I love about this platform, is just the ability to use your money so wisely, right? Like, it makes me feel so good inside.
It makes me feel great inside too. Yeah, Shopify is such a turnkey solution in so many aspects. But just that the flexibility we still get with it, even though it is turnkey, it's just allowed us to have a lot of cost savings. And that's a huge goal for me this year. And I'm really happy to see that.
Yeah. So not only did you get like the best in tech and empowerment for your team, and beautiful websites, but you're also saving money. I mean, like,
yeah, win-win. Win-win.
Okay, so we have a couple of questions, Angela, for you before we move to our next final segment. So let's see. Angela, now that you've gone through the full journey, what advice would you give someone about to start their replatforming project? Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah. We talked about how skeptical I was, and that's because we had suffered the pain of
Yes, I know.
custom and Magento. And but I think we got the right answer for this project, which was Shopify, but we got there because we had the right partner. And so I think that that's the most important thing, is knowing you have a team, whether it's Shero or someone else. I am partial to Shero.
Everybody's got some flavor for everyone.
But you know what's important to your team's culture.
Yeah.
Your company's culture, and having a partner whose culture aligns with that, I can't underestimate the importance of that. It made our communication so much smoother. We understood each other and our goals, and yeah, that is the thing that I would take the most care in, is making sure you pick the right partner.
I 100% agree. If it is not a good fit, or you feel there's friction, it's going to be really hard when you hit a wall in a replatforming. And like, platforming is challenging. It's not all rainbows and unicorns. Like, you and I know that, right? Like, we don't need to sugarcoat it. There are challenges, and there are things that come up that are unexpected. So you can plan to the end of time, but there's always going to be something. It's technology. Right. So just having that rapport and understanding and alignment, from a business standpoint, but also like the cultural and the communication, had helped tremendously to drive this forward in such a positive way. So
absolutely, trust is important.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, I think it's one more question. You were understandably skeptical at the start. What was the turning point that made you feel confident Shopify could meet your needs?
It was, I think my hesitation was, I knew that Shopify was fantastic for a single website. And like I said earlier, it was just the moment that the entire tech stack, or potential tech stack, was laid out to me. And we just really asked a ton of hard questions and got the answers that satisfied those questions. And so it still was a little bit of a leap of faith, but we had done our due diligence. But it was that moment that I was given the full tech stack and said, Shopify can work with this and this and this, and it will meet your needs. And it has. So that was really, really a crucial moment.
Amazing. I love it. And the team loves working with your team. I mean, So many good things to say here. We could talk all day.
Love you guys too.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Angela. We're gonna move to the final segment here to wrap up, just to leave our guests with some of the best practices for a successful launch. And some of these might seem really simple and practical, but I think they're just really important to name if you haven't thought of them. And I'm sure there's plenty more, but when you're replatforming, don't just rebuild what you have. We've seen this a number of times. People are like, just build what I have. And it doesn't always go well. Usually there's stuff in there that they don't even use. So it's like extra time and effort when you don't need to. So really thinking about, what do your customers and your internal team need now and in the future? And that's what you should be building for. Number two, buy-in and support from all team members. I cannot say it enough. If your team is not bought in on this project, it will not succeed. It really lives and breathes with the team that's going to be using the solution, and helping support and drive it forward. So that's a really important one. Again, making sure you have your must-haves. It'd be great to have everything on your wish list, but I think it's really helpful to narrow down what you must have for launch, just so you can get up and running as quickly as possible. Thinking about customizations or how you can meet, like 90% of the need, maybe with an app or not. So being able to have those conversations is really important. Also using data, using gut instinct to make decisions doesn't always get you the result you might think. So just really think about data and how you're going to use it. Set realistic timelines, even with SaaS. I mean, we see it can be aggressive, but sometimes having a little more breathing room so your team can catch up and learn the platform as well is healthy and the best way to go. Not that we can't launch in a month or two, like you saw with F Muziki, but be realistic, I guess is what I'm saying. Be agile. There will be things that come up that we got to solve for during the process. So be aware of that. And then embrace change and growth. I think that can be really hard for some people, and some team members might not get behind it. So that's okay though. So you just got to understand that and name it and move forward in some way or another. And then just to kind of wrap up this whole party conversation here, loved bringing everybody in. A lot of what we're talking about was migrating Magento Adobe Commerce to Shopify. We've been doing Magento Adobe Commerce from the beginning 15 years ago. And, I think the main blockers that we face during migrations like this, like I just stated, is number one, the ability to adapt to change. If you've been working in a certain way for so long, you've just always done it that way. That can be a blocker for migrations like this. Also thinking about the multi-store setup. So Magento Adobe Commerce has a very robust multi-store setup. So usually when people are transitioning, they want it to be exactly the same. So it's never going to be exactly the same. There are ways to do this, but it's not the same. Agility, and then adjusting your business processes. There might be an easier way to do things. You just have to have the ability to be able to change, adapt, learn, and grow. So I hope you all took away something. If you have further questions or would like to connect, we're happy to talk to you about your site and what you're doing. And we're always here and always be learning, as I like to say. And thank you for joining us. You can also click on the QR code if you want to contact us. And then I think we might have a little bit of time for some quick Q&A. So we can bring everybody else in to say hello. Thank you for everyone that's joined us so far. Yay, thank you, Angela, Miko, and Jim. Thank you so much. It was so great to hear all your insights. Real honest and real, and just a beautiful process that we've all gone through. And, it's just amazing to see the results, I guess is what I would say. All right, so we have some Q&A questions. What is something you would love to see Shopify do for merchants to help them grow even more? Ooh, good one. Does anybody have any thoughts on that one?
I mean, I've got thoughts. and they're not necessarily from the integration space. And I think what I like about Shopify is that the releases, the quarterly releases, are all merchant focused,
Yes.
and that really makes a difference. I think Shopify has got a vast amount of merchants now on the platform, and I know that they use those kind of insights from those merchants to inform the software direction. So keep doing that, right? So that's a bit of sounds a bit fanboy actually, which my colleagues in my previous organization won't be too happy about. But what I will say is, with all that data, could Shopify take that data to give insights into the products that are being sold, like an anonymized version of this is hot right now. This is what's that could be interesting. I don't know if they can. I don't know if the T's and C's allow it either. But I think if I'm a merchant in this current environment, what channel's best performing for my competitor is quite an interesting piece of information. So if you can do that in a way that doesn't breach anything, and I can imagine actually if they did do that, the previously mentioned platform that people are migrating off of will be like, yeah, well, we don't do that. But as a merchant, I'd love that, right? I would love to understand what I really should be investing in. So anyway, it's not an integration focused thing because there's nothing really I need extra from them.
All good. I love your insight there, Jim. That's a good one. It's very interesting. Oh, okay. Angela, question for you. What single KPI, average order value, repeat purchase rate, blended call to action, etc., would most clearly signal breakout growth for you?
Yeah, I think actually that repeat purchase rate is really important for us, especially because our clients, our customers are churches. And so they need what we have every single week of the year. And that just seeing them come back and that repeat purchase rate increasing proves that we're doing our jobs of equipping them.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I know there's a lot of brands that, have that similar business model and are struggling with getting people to return. Right. So
yeah, there's a lot of fatigue around subscriptions right now. And that includes, we are B2B in that we're selling to someone for their job. And yeah, there's fatigue around that too. But when we see that and have the ability to create features and innovate our site to make their lives easier, to help them do their jobs faster, they're going to keep coming back to us. And so that's why that repeat rate is so important.
Amazing. I love it. Let's see. Anything else? Okay, Miko. In your experience working with brands, what do you see as the biggest win when they fully embrace what Shopify has to offer?
Wow, that's a big question.
I know.
However, I think I will pick up a conversion. Trust what Shopify does really, really well.
Yeah.
The site from homepage to checkout, it works well. And it kind of gives you the freedom to focus on more interesting features and kind of development. So that's the one I would kind of say.
I love
However, like the question says, stick with the Shopify as much as you can.
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes people want to reinvent the wheel, and sometimes there's no need for that. If it works, don't try to fix it, right? Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking to you all today. And thank you again for everyone joining. Love the insights and the conversation. So couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much. And we're going to wrap up because we're at time. So thank you. And I am Beth Shero, as you all know. And always be learning, everybody. I hope you took something here today and can go make it happen.